Hey, Colabcoaching yet again. It's just some wise words and wisdom for the week. This is week two of the trigger series. I'm so excited to get into week two because week two we're gonna go a little bit deeper than we did in week one. So if you thought week one was deep with what triggers are, we're about to go so much deeper. Now the question I want to present to you this week is how do your triggers affect your life? How do your triggers affect your life? Or how are you affected by your triggers? Whatever way you want to spin it. Now, last week I took some time to talk about what your triggers are. I gave you examples of what triggers are. I gave you the Webster's dictionary, what a trigger is, all of that good stuff. Now, this week I want to talk about how triggers affect you. You know, it's easy for us to say that we're in pain. It's easy for us to identify that we're hurting, but it's hard for us to actually pinpoint and map out the roots of that pain and the cause of that pain. Because sometimes this pain could come from years in the past. It could come from someone that you don't even talk to anymore. You can't resolve the pain because there's no closure in there anymore. But when we talk about what triggers do to pain, that is something you can control. Because triggers, yes, they may come from a source that you have no control over. You don't know when a trigger is going to affect you. You know, it's a random case, but you know how it makes you feel when you are triggered. To give a good analogy of this, when you're in pain and you're hurting, it's like a wound. What we tend to do is that we tend to cover up that wound just so we could function. So when we're hurting or something hurts us or we're triggered by something, we have a pain about it. We feel like it hurts, but then what we try to do is that we tend to cover it up so we can function to go on with our day-to-day basis and handle things that we need to handle. What triggers do is that they pinpoint the pain in that wound and they press on it. It's like something's pressing on the pain and it hurts. Hurt on the wound is like, say maybe you cut yourself and you may have slammed your hand on a door or anything like that, and you feel that pain and it hurts. What a trigger does is shows you, well, you're still hurting. Well, the pain is not gone. All you did was cover up so you could function. But functioning and moving forward are two separate things. We are so used to functioning. Just because we're functioning does not mean it's okay. Just because you can still move on with that pain still inside you does not mean it's okay. We have to start to move forward. We have to start to heal. Healing starts when you recognize the source of the pain. Healing is when you realize that you still are in pain. Healing is when you realize that you have to acknowledge the pain exists. We tend to think that just because we hurt, it's okay. You know, we should hurt. We should always hurt. No, we shouldn't always hurt, especially when it's something that is affecting you in your everyday life. So when we talk about what things affecting you means when you start to avoid things because you think they're going to trigger you. Affecting you means when you start to get out of situations or not step into situations because you think it may affect you. Like, say, for example, you've been in a domestic dispute with a significant other and you got into a toxic relationship, an abusive relationship, and you got out of it, thank God. But you are avoiding any future relationships because you feel that you may be triggered by something someone does. Just because there's a possibility of being triggered doesn't mean you're going to be triggered. Just because there's a possibility of being pain, you're going to get in pain doesn't mean you're going to be in pain. It's like you tend to be afraid of the idea of being hurt because you have been hurt in the past and you don't want to get hurt in the future. So to put it simply, I know this is going a little bit too deep, but to put it simply, we have to acknowledge the hurt because the hurt is real. All triggers do is that they highlight the hurt that you currently have. You can't be triggered by something if it doesn't affect you. Simple as that. If something doesn't affect you, you won't get triggered by it. If someone says, "Oh, you're fat," when you know that you're skinny, it's not going to affect you. Just like someone says, "Oh, you're short," when you know that you're tall, is not going to affect you. But if someone says that you're fat and you feel that you're fat, you're triggered and it hurts you. And you start to lash out. Maybe you start arguing with that person. Maybe you start to get down to yourself. You may try to do something to deal with the weight that is not healthy. Or if you know that you are not as tall, you start to get down on yourself. You start to do crazy things, like you might get shoes that have heels in them, and whatever you may do to compensate for the feeling of being hurt. But you never address that hurt because it still is affecting you. We have to get out of that systematic approach of functioning because that's not helping you. That's not helping your future self. That's not helping your relationships around you. That's not helping the place that you want to be. Because let's put it this way: if you're triggered by a lot of things and you step into a relationship and your significant other does something to you that someone has done to you in the past or brought up a feeling that you felt in the past that you didn't like, and they unconsciously, not knowingly, triggers you, and you lash out at that person and the person doesn't know exactly what caused it, so that person argues with you as well. And so now you're arguing about something that is affecting you but now has tainted the relationship and made the relationship negative. It made it not a safe space anymore. It made it a space that is now toxic. It's a toxic environment now because of the triggers that someone attacked you with, per se, that you feel attacked and they did not know ahead of time. So we have to address the triggers with our significant others if you're not ready to heal from it, or we have to work with our significant others to realize that these triggers are affecting me and hurting my life. Because if, and I said this before in plenty of videos, that if you are not healed and you're seeking to be healed in a relationship, but you don't talk to your significant other and communicate what exactly you're hurting from, that relationship is going to go nowhere. That relationship is not going to be successful. It may feel good temporarily because it's masking that pain. You're functioning in a relationship, but you're not happy in a relationship because something is triggering you and the pain is getting to the point when it's overwhelming. You know, when you get to the point where something, let's put it this way, like you have a toothache, it starts small, but over time, if you don't address it, the pain starts to get so agonizing that it starts to radiate in your mouth and it makes everything unbearable. You can't even eat, you can't even talk. That's exactly what pain does to you. If you don't address the pain, that trigger, and whenever you get into it, and whenever you get triggered, it intensifies. So for example, if you have a toothache and you try to bite into an apple, it's a hard apple, bite into it, that pain is going to be agonizing, excruciating. Until you address the toothache, then you can't do anything else because everything else is just going to make it worse. We can't live this life anymore. You cannot. So acknowledging triggers hurt. Acknowledging the pain that is caused by that trigger. You may not, as I said, you can't control where the triggers happen. You can't control who attacks you with the triggers or who brings up the triggers or how the triggers start. But you can control how it makes you feel. Have you healed from that pain? Have you healed from that struggle? Are you still just trying to function instead of moving forward? Think about all these things. And if you need help, message me. Who am I? I'm the Colab coach. I focus on relationships, but not only intimate relationships, relationships with your friends, families, neighbors, co-workers, and the most important relationship of all, with yourself. I'm doing a special for the month of June. June is almost over, but the special is still going strong. Message me if you want a 15-minute free conversation. If you want to vent, if you want to cry, if you want to lash out, if you want solutions, I'm here. Free 15 minutes. I feel like that's the best thing we could do to bring some positivity in this world. Follow me on Facebook, Colab Coaching. Follow me on Instagram, Colab Coaching. All my videos and series are on YouTube. Just type in Colab Coaching. Share this with anyone that you know that they are affected by the triggers. and they have not resolved the pain that's caused by the triggers. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Be safe.